Hello friends, I made this workflow for converting any textures with any size to seamless textures. Okay, here I made the workflow with different steps, and finally you can extract normal map and other parameter from the texture. Please pay attention that this is an advanced workflow and you should have some basic knowledge about ComfyUI. And if you check my YouTube channel, you can find this playlist, ComfyUI Ultimate Guide Series. And if you start from number 1, then you can learn many useful information about ComfyUI. And you will be ready for this tutorial. Also, if you go to my Patreon page, you can download the ready workflow and you can run it on your computer. And also in my Patreon, I have placed all the models. This is the model folder that I'm using in ComfyUI, and all the files are inside the folders. It's about, I think, 150 gigabyte. And also recently I have uploaded the portable version that I am working with, and also it includes the extensions that I have installed. So if you download and unzip this version, and after that download and place the models folder inside the ComfyUI, then easily you can run this workflow. Alright, let me do a fast review of this workflow. The first step is designed for fixing the image size and make it ready for going to the latent. Now in this step, I'm trying to remove the shadow from the image. And here you can see we have shadow, and after that you can see that I removed the shadow. Okay, actually this part is divided to 3 different parts. The first one, designing a high pass filter for making this kind of image. And after that, extracting the average color of the image, and finally blending them with overlay. So with this way we can remove the shadow from the image. Now after removing the shadow, I have 2 different ways. Okay, at first let me start with 02. Here there is a node from Vast Node Suite that can blend the image and make seamless texture. And it will only try to blend the edge of the image, but sometimes it is working very, very well. So you can play with blending amount. Okay, if you don't like the result of 02, you can use this solution. This is another solution in 3 steps. In the first step, I am adding some padding around the image. Okay, and I will define the padding size with these 2 parameters. After that, I am using the Inpaint node that is coming from ComfyUI Inpaint node. And also it needs to another external node. One of them will be used for Inpainting model, and one another is Upscaler model that I have to use them. And I am sending another image to this Inpaint node, and this is the image. I made this image from this one only by making some offset. Okay, and this node is coming from seamless tiling node, and it can make a offset in image, and it's exactly the same as Photoshop. So finally I can send this image, offsetted image, to the Inpainting node model, and it can generate some image for empty area. But you see the quality is not perfect. But sometimes maybe the quality will be good and it's related to you. The next step is using Inpainting for filling the gap area. But before that I have to load the checkpoints. So I load the checkpoint and also necessary parameters, and I sent them all to the context B. So you can see I can send all these settings to context B. And also I am trying to keep the value of the padding because finally I will need them. And here you can see that the image and also the mask area, also I sent them into the context B. Just about the context big, I have to tell you that normally you can't see vertical padding and horizontal padding value, and here is a normal, and here for example you can see clip width and clip height, but these are accepting integer, and because they were unused for me, I renamed them to something else, and so this is the reason that you can see them here. Finally, I sent the context for Inpainting. Alright, in this group, I am doing the Inpainting with focus. At first, let me start by this node. This node is working as a guard for me, and it will check the scale of the latent size. So it will get the original image with any size, and after that, it can fix the scale based on the minimum length. Okay, so it will check the both width and height, and it will define the minimum length for that, and it will keep the separation. Here I am loading the focus. It's normal, as you know. If you don't know, you should check the Inpainting lessons. And here I have added another node for repeat latent batch if you want to see some different options. And these are some nodes only for making some blurriness in the mask, but because they should be very, very accurate, I use these nodes. And finally, under the group, you can see some another node, because I want to convert the value in the small image to the original image, because every time I'm trying to keep the scale of the blur radius. So this is the reason that I make this calculation. Here you can see the image. It's a K-sampler, and this is the result of processing after doing in K-sampler. And with this node, you can see it as some tile. Now in this group, I am making some upscaling, and also I'm trying to mix and composite the result with original image. Here you can see two images. This is the image only after upscaling, okay, and you can see the grain of the wood is blurred. And this is the another image. Here I have the original image. These parts are original image, and only I mixed the in-painted area with original image. Okay, so I did that with these nodes. So at first I scaled up the in-painted image, and this is the node that is doing that for me, because it will allow me to use the ultra sharp model for upscaling image. And this is another node for fixing the image size exactly for blending. And after that, here I am making some blurriness in the mask, and with this node I am blending the original image with in-painted image. So this area of this image will be blended with original image, and they are coming here in this group. In the step 07, I am adding some detail, but before that, please pay attention. I am using ST 1.5 for this step, and this is the way that I am changing my checkpoint in the middle of the workflow. Okay, this is the context that can carry all the parameters. So I sent the text parameters to the new encoder, and also after sending the new model clip VAE positive and negative prompt, again I sent the context into a reroute node, and finally now I can use the new context with new checkpoint. So I added these icons, and now it's easier to understand. And about these icons, they are labeled from RG3, and in the title you can use some Unicode. For example, in the Google, you can search for arrow Unicode or any other type of icons. And for example, if you copy this, after that, let me show you, you can paste it here. And you can see this icon in your screen. All right, now I am in detailer area and only I want to process the inpainted area that is marked as white. Okay. And I don't want to touch the original part of the image. So I am using the detailer from Impact Pack, detailer debug 6. Okay. And I'm using the debug version because I can see the difference output. And for sending the information into the detailer debug, I want to have some segment, and I use these 3 nodes to making the segments. This is the first one. It can make a big segment for me. This is a big segment, and it will define the area that the processor should work on that. After that, I have another node, and it will make some tile segments. So it will get a big segment, and it will break down the big segment to smaller segments. So totally, if you assemble all these smaller segments, you can see the whole white area. And finally, for using the control net inside the segments during the processing, I'm using the tile control net. Okay, for being able to using that, I am using this node, control net apply segment, for applying the control net during detailing process. And after that, I use this node, and the most important parameter in this node is adjusting the blur amount and also the feeder. And I found the best value for blur amount and feeder in this node is, for example, if you're selecting 40 for blur, after that 20 is the best value for the feeder amount. So I make this expression for that, and also I convert them to input. And this is the output image after reprocessing, and you can see that it's adding some details only on Inpainted area. So the color and also the texture now is more similar to original texture. In part 8, I am fixing some small errors. If you check the image, you can see on this part, on the top middle, and also on the right and left middle of the image, we will have still some gaps. Okay, so I designed this step for finding those positions and also placing some mask on them. And let me show you. For example, here after some offsetting, you can see this line, and if I click here, you can see that I have make a mask exactly on this position for this area and also for these seams, but now it's not very visible, but I will show you. So totally we have 2 seams, additional seams that are remain on our image, and with these nodes I'm trying to remove them. Let me show you how it's working. So this is the preview of the first mask. So I make a circle, I find the best size for the circle, and also I find the position, and all of them are done based on some expression that I write. And also this is for another position. Finally, I mix these 2 into one image, and after that I have a mask for refining the image, and also I have the image that is offsetted and is synced with my mask. So finally, in the last step, I am using another detailer, And again, I am using a node with the mask to segment. So because I have mask in two different parts, it can break them and it will generate two segments for me. And here only it can process these two parts and it will be very, very fast. You can see here. Okay. The seams is removed. And also after that, it will process another area on a small size and it will composite the result with original image for us. So now the seams are removed. Finally, after installing the MTB extension, MTB nodes, on ComfyUI you can extract normal map, curvature and height map from image, but actually I prefer to use other softwares if I want to get higher quality, but they are working also. And this is the whole process that I am doing in this workflow. Sometimes maybe only you will be happy with the first result. Sometimes maybe you will be happy with the second result. So I have put some save image node in the workflow and with some exact name. And it will save all the result in texture folder in your output folder and with some specific name. So it's dependent to you and now it's your choice. But the most important thing in this workflow is understanding how to work with ComfyUI. Because I know that maybe you can do this process with another softwares very, very easier. But I think this is a great exercise for understanding how to work with ComfyUI. So now I am going to check the details one by one. All right, at first I made this equation to calculate the width and height of the picture and find the number that will be divided to 8. Okay, so for example, with this simple equation, you can find the number, the closest number to the width and height that is able to divide by 8. Let me show you. Now, if you divide 3976 to 8, okay, you don't have any floating number and it's an integer, so it's a good number. And also if you divide 2792 to 8, again you can see that easily you can divide that to 8. So with this equation I can do that. And what I need for making this, at first I have to install the Python Gauss extension. And after that, if I go to utility, I can find a mass expression node. And it can have 3 different input and 1 output. Actually, they are 1 output. 1 output is integer and one another is float. So you need this node, and also you need another node for extracting dimension of the image. And you can do this with many different nodes. For example, just double click and here write get image size. And for example, here I have one node from Mixlab and one another node from layer style. Okay, I can work with both of them and they will extract and export the width and height number. After that, I have added a node with the name of Upscale image. Again, it's not coming from any extension, it's a default node. And if you search here, you can find Upscale image node. Okay, and just you have to convert width and height to widget. So convert widget to input. And finally, you can connect the result of the mass expression to this node. And also you have to connect the source image. So with these groups of nodes, you can find the best dimension for your image. And also it will crop. I set it to crop the image maybe it will crop 8 pixels from left, right, top or bottom, but be sure that this is the best image that you can get for processing in ComfyUI. After that, I told you here I am trying to remove the shadows from the image and make a flat image. So at first, let me do that in Photoshop. All right, in Photoshop, if I select the offset filter, after that, you can see the difference between left, right, horizontal or vertical lines. So traditionally for removing the shadow and make equalized texture, this is the process in Photoshop. At first I have to make a copy from the layer, and it's better to convert it to a smart object and go to filter and select high pass filter. Normally you can select between 50 up to 150. It's dependent on the resolution and also your texture. At this moment I prefer to go with 66. And also again you have to make another texture copy from your texture and send it to top level, go to filter, go to blur and select average. And after that you should go to blending mode and select the overlay. Now if you compare the result with your original texture, you can see that now you have a better texture that between left and right you have better lighting balance. All right, so everything that I am doing here is exactly same as the Photoshop. Let me show you. At first, by adding preview node, okay, I want to show you that what am I doing here. Okay, this is the image that I am sending to the high pass filter. And here I have two different high pass filter, and I am controlling the radius and string with some number. This is the first high pass filter, and if I check the output, okay, it's something like this. And if I make a copy and send it to Photoshop, and after that compare it with the Photoshop high pass, okay, you can see that it is working only on brightness of the image, and on the dark side of the image actually it was not working fine. Okay, so after thinking and after testing many different solutions, I figured out that also I have to make an invert. Okay, this is inverting the color. Let me show you. Okay, it's inverting the color of the image, and I sent the inverted version to high pass, and this is the result that I get. Let me show you. Okay, but it was a good image, but the problem was that the dark area was bright. So again, I add another invert filter for reversing that. So if you check the output, you can see it here. Now I have good detail in darkness and from the upper node, okay, and from the lower node I have good detail in brightness. So I have blended these two output with image blend, and this is the output that I get after blending them with the overlay filter. Okay, this is image blend with overlay. After that I was able to get this output, and if I copy the image and send it to Photoshop, okay, let me send that to Photoshop. Oh, excuse me, copy image and paste. Okay, after that, this is the image that is coming from ComfyUI, and this is the image from Photoshop. You can see they are very close together and they are very similar. So here you can see that until now I was able to create a high pass filter that is very similar to Photoshop. Now after making the high pass image, I have to make the average color. Okay, and for extracting the average color, again I have tested many different extensions, and the only extensions that can do that is layer style. Okay, you have to install the layer style extension, and after that use this node, get color tone. It will get the image input, okay, and after that it can output a color code. Okay, let me show you. If I search for any and I select display any and execute, you can see that the output that is coming from this node is a color code in hex format. And again, there is another node, okay, this one, that can create an image based on color, and the name is color image v2. So if you add color image v2, after that you can see here it has a place for inputting the hex color, and if you convert widget you can convert it into input. So this is the thing that I did. And also for the size of the image, because also it should have a dimension, I am using an image for sending the size. So this node set as size, okay, it will accept image and it will extract the image dimension, and after that these parameters are not working. So with this image I'm creating an image, and with this node I'm just extracting the color code in average mode. And finally, again I blend both this color and also the high pass filter with overlay mode, and yes, this is the result. This is the result. Okay, so let me copy that, go to Photoshop, okay, and paste the image. So you can compare the result. This is now you're checking the image from ComfyUI, and now this is the Photoshop version. So you can see they are very similar. So in this step I did this, and this is the reason that I used these nodes and I arranged them like this. Okay, so until now we have image that between left and right of the image it's working fine and it's equalized. Now we have to find a solution for removing the remaining seams that is related to the geometry. Okay, there is a node in this step 2. Okay, there is a node from vast node suite that can create seamless texture. Okay, and the name is image seamless texture. It has a value with the name of blending, and you can see that it is trying to fade the edge together for creating seamless texture. And if I increase the blending and run that, after processing, I'm waiting for processing because it's a very huge image. Okay, you can see that it's blending the edge, and this is the technique that it is using. But sometimes it's working fine. For example, in this texture, actually, it's interesting. And with this node that is coming from Comfy Roll Studio, and the name is CR Seamless Checker, okay? You can check your texture with some higher tile, okay? And here you can see that your texture is good if you do tiling or no. For example, this is 4 in 4. And after that, you can take the decision. So this is one solution. And for example, sometimes it can work for you. This is another solution that is a little tricky. Okay, here I am using the node. Okay, at first let me move these parts. Okay, and also move it here. So here you can see that I have some nodes. Okay, I sent the equalized image to this node. Okay, and after that it's trying to make some padding. And for example, this is the preview. Okay, let me place the preview in upper part. It will add some padding on the left, right, and bottom. So actually, let me add the node, make a copy, and right click, fix. If you make, let me explain to you. If you make a copy from a node, right click and click on fix node, okay, it will restore the node to the default. So you can see that the value for top, left, right, and bottom, now you should write them. And if you click, you can select widget to input and you can change them. Okay, so I decided to set two different, two different parts. One value for controlling the left and right, and it will be vertical padding, and one value for controlling top and bottom, so it will be horizontal padding. So I'm controlling the padding value with these two numbers, and also don't forget that I am trying to keep these numbers, and I will send them finally to make to find the mask. Okay, because I should keep these numbers. And after that, here you can see I am using another expression, because for example, sometimes you can use some numbers that are not able to divide to 8. Okay, and also don't forget that this number will be used 2 times. So in this time, it should be the equation something like this. Okay, a mod 4. And if this number will be divided to 4, after that, because we are using 2 times, the result, the final padding value will be divided to 8. So when I am adding some padding to my image, still I can keep the latent compatibility size. So this is the tricks that I am using for this node. And after that, I have used an offset image. Okay, the offset image exactly same as offset filter in Photoshop. And you see that, for example, in Photoshop, when you are adding offset to horizontal and vertical, you can offset your image. In ComfyUI also it's same, but for doing that you should install extension. So for using that node, you should install exactly this extension, seamless tiling node for ComfyUI, and the other is Spinagon. Okay, so remember that. And this is the GitHub page. Okay, and okay, this is all the information. You should use this node because also it will provide some other nodes that are very useful for us for other solution. So please use this node. Here I have defined it the 50% and it will offset the image 50% on X and Y. So because previously I had padding for the image, now the paddings are at the middle of the image. So after that, let me move these nodes. Okay, and one another note, because also I had image and mask. Okay, they were coming out from the padding. I use this node join image with alpha. Okay, I use this node for merging the image and alpha both together, and after that I sent them to offset image. And finally, I used another node for a split image with alpha. So one time I used this node, but it made both image and mask for me. So finally, I sent the image and mask to another node that is coming from ComfyUI Inpainting node. This is the ComfyUI Inpainting node. Okay, and the author is Ashley. So you should install that, and this is the GitHub page. And inside this node, you have another node with the name, inside this extension, you have a node with the name of Inpaint model. And it can process the image with two different techniques, Llama and Matte. Also, you should download the models and place them inside the ComfyUI models in Paint. I explained them inside Inpainting lessons if you check my YouTube. These are the models, okay? And actually I like the matte for this project. And after that, exactly, I used this node in Paint using model. So if you right click and go to Inpainting, you can find this node in Paint using model, or also you can search for this. After that, it's very important to fix the seed number, control after generation to fix, because I don't want every time generate a new image for me. And this node need to another input. One of them is an upscaler, and one another is the file that you have downloaded from the URL. Okay, exactly this file. Exactly this file. And you should connect that to Inpaint using model. Finally, it can process the image and masked area, and it can fill the empty area. So this is the result. Still, we didn't use any processing from Stable Diffusion. Also, please note, sometimes this result could be enough for you, and it's really dependent to your texture. But now I have selected a very complicated and sensitive texture with many small details. So for example, if you want to use a stone or some other texture, this method can work for you, and there is not any reason to continue the workflow. But now let me continue the workflow, because after that I sent this image to another part for processing with Inpainting model, and here I'm using the focus. But before that, let me show you that how I am loading my information. Here, by using the RG3 extension, okay, it's very important. I can define many different parameters like a step, CFG, sampler, name, and scheduler, and send them to a context. Okay, and from now, please remember, working with context is very important, and actually it's a great node for ComfyUI. Easily you can make a copy And after that, connect the output of the context to input. Okay. And make another copy and do that. Now, for example, you are in the middle of your workflow and you want to change something inside the context. So for example, you can change your checkpoint, just as an example, to another version. Okay. So this is the way you can connect it to here. So the output of this context is with this change. So easily you can edit the context with this solution, and really it's a huge improvement for ComfyUI and designing the workflow. So here you can see that I have loaded my checkpoint. I have my clip text encoder that are working with this STXL checkpoint. Here I have my prompt, okay? And I am sending my positive and negative prompt as text to the context. And about the prompt styler that I have used, this node is coming from STXL prompt styler. It's another extension. This is the extension STXL prompt styler, and other is Theory. Okay. And by using this node, I can write my positive, negative, and select the style for my prompt. But now actually I'm not using any style, and just I'm using the text boxes. And also this is the normal version and it can work fine. So I can send the positive and negative prompt also as text. So after that, I can check my my checkpoint version because I have the text, and again, I can use another clip text encoder. And here there is a number seed from again RG3 for controlling the seed. So this is my context, and also in this context I have added the mask and also the image. Okay, this is the image, and also this is the mask. Let me show you. Add a preview mask node. And this is the mask with sharp edges. So I sent the mask and also the image inside the context and the value from the padding. Okay. After doing the fix. So I sent these values also to the context, and here you can see vertical padding and horizontal padding. You can see some names, and let me show you. If I make a copy and click on fix, you can see here I have clip width and clip height, but they were unused, so I decided to change the name because let me show you something. This is integer value, and if I click after that, I can see that which input can accept integer. Okay, so because I was not using the clip width and clip height, I decided to rename them. Okay, you can select any name for them, and after that you can connect some integer value, and again you can get the output, but please select some good names. Exactly same as I did here, vertical padding and horizontal padding, because finally I need these numbers. So this is everything about the context that I have created, and I sent the context to Inpainting area. All right, now in the 05 step, okay, let me move them and open the context. So you can see that I sent the image, mask, negative, positive, VAE, and also the model to the work. Okay. So at first I sent the mask and also the image to this node. Okay. And this node is coming from layer style extension. This is the layer style, ComfyUI layer style extension. section, and this is the name of the author, and it can work as a guard for us. For example, sometimes, like now, my original image is very huge. Let me show you. This is a node that can show the width and height of the image. And if I add display any node, this is a node from RG3 to display anything. Okay. You can see that my original image is 4000 in 3000. Okay, after adding the padding and those parameters. So it's very normal that it is not possible to process an image inside the stable diffusion. So we should resize the image, and I am using this node for resizing the image. Okay, it's very smart and interesting node. At first, it is accepting image and mask both together, and it can keep the separation of the image. And finally, in the scale to side, you have some different strategy. I prefer to select the shortest, and with the value that you are defining, okay, this is the value that I am using for defining the minimum length. So it will scale up or scale down the image until the minimum length will be 1024. It's all. And this is very, very useful and interesting node. After scaling the image, I am ready to start the processing. Okay. And let me show you what am I doing here. Okay. For doing the inpainting, you know that we need pixel and mask. And because that I am using the differential diffusion, okay, this is the differential diffusion. Because that it's better to use a mask with some blur. And for making blur in the mask, I am using the impact pack. Okay, it's another extension that you have to install on your ComfyUI. This is the extension, and it's very, very useful. So with this node, I can do that. And if I make a copy and click on fix node v2, you see that it needs two different sizes, kernel and sigma. I figure out that the best way for using inside Inpainting is using same value both for kernel and sigma. So this is the reason that I convert the widget to input, and after that I use a parameter same for this. And let me tell you another thing about this node, fix node. The maximum value that you can use in this node is 100. Okay. So because I am using input, okay, this is input node and it can send bigger numbers. Again, I have to use another node with the name of limit number. Okay. This node limit number is coming from ComfyUI MixLab node. Okay, this is the name ComfyUI MixLab node, and this is the other name. And actually, it's a great extension for ComfyUI, and finally you have to install that. So I defined the max value on 200. And why I did that? Because finally I was dividing the input value with 2. So this is the reason that I set the maximum value to 200. Okay, and let me tell you why I am here writing 40, and after that I have a mass expression for dividing this number with 2. Okay, so finally I'm sending 20 into the mask blur. But this is how the blur effect is working. Now I have 40, and you know that the number 20 is going inside the mask blur. But finally, the effect of the blur is 40 pixel, because if the edge is here, I will go up for 20 pixel and go down for 20 pixel. So totally the length of the blurriness will be 40. And this is the reason that I decided to define the real blurriness value. And I did that like this. And let me show you. Let me copy this image and go to Photoshop. And inside the Photoshop, let me show you. Okay, the length of the red line exactly is 40 pixel. And you can see that it is same as the blur radius, the real blur amount that we have in the image. So this is the reason that I am doing like this. All right, now I sent this image and also this mask to Inpainting. Okay, and you know that this node is coming from Inpaint node. I have to add another node, apply focus Inpaint, and also I have to use this node for loading the focus. The upper part should be focus Inpaint head, and the next model should be Inpaint V26. And you should download all of them from this page. You can find full information here. It's related to Inpaint, ComfyUI Inpaint node GitHub page. And I sent them to KSampler. Also here I have added another node with the name of repeat latent batch. So sometimes you prefer to generate, for example, 4 different options at the same time. Okay, just let me, for doing this test, let me decrease the size and set the latent batch to 4. Now, if I queue, because this node, this save node is coming out from the KSampler, and I can press Q. After processing, I will get 4 different image and with this node I can select one of them. I will show you. Okay, the processing is finished, but now you cannot see all 4 images, because after that and before image from batch, I have to select another node for doing the preview. Okay, and here you can see 4 different processing version. Okay, and for example, now if you want the number 2, okay, here and in this node you can select batch index 1. Okay, and why? Because here the numbers are starting from 1, but in this node they are starting from 0. So if you want this, or for example this one, this is number 4, here you should select number 3. And if you do that, after that you can get the output from the latent batch of number 3. So with this node, image from batch, you can extract the selected image from the batch, and also if you want to increase the batch number for Inpainting processing, you can use this node. Okay, and under this group, I have some notes for calculating the blue radius and scale the blue radius with the real value. And why I am doing that? This is the size of the original image, and this is the size for after scaling. Okay, so if I divide the width of the bigger image, the width of the smaller image, I can find the ratio that how much I scale down or scale up the image. And if I multiple the blur radius that I defined for my blur, after that I can find the real blur radius in original image size. So finally this number can help me for making a mask for compositing the output with original image. Now in step 06, actually I am doing two different thing. The first part is upscaling the processed image, and this is the result. And let me show you. If you open the image, you can see that the dimension of the output is 4208 by 3000. Okay, so it's upscaling the image, but during the upscaling also it is rounding. Upscaling, the first step of this upscaling is doing with CR upscale image from ComfyUI Studio. This is the extension and this is the other name. Okay, so this was the only node that I was able to find for upscaling image with using upscaler model. Okay, so also it can accept a width for upscaling image, and I extract it with getting the original size of the image. And after upscaling with this node, okay, again I used a simple upscale image node for exactly matching the dimension of the image with original size. For example, here you can see it's showing the original size of the image, 4208 in 2008, and this is the dimension that is coming out from this node, and it is 8 pixels higher than the original image. So this is the reason that again I am sending the output of this node to another upscaler image. So now I can composite the upscaled image with original image, and I did that with this node, image blend node. Okay, because it is accepting two images and also a mask layer for blending these two images, and it's coming from layer style. So I did this blending, and this is the result. Here I have the original image, and in the middle I have the inpainted image, and you can see some difference in colors. You can fix that in Photoshop, or also I have designed another pass in 07 for adding more details. Let me tell you that for image blend, also I am using a mask that has some blurriness. Okay, and this is the equation that I am using for calculating the blur amount, because I had the blur radius of previous, so I was able to calculate the blur radius that I need. And yes, finally I was able to do this blending with most accurate numbers. So you can check them and you can figure out that why I am using these numbers. I have added some blurriness, okay, and also some kind of growing, and this is the equation for calculating the growing amount. And finally, this is the mask that I am getting out. Let me show you. Okay, here you can see this was the original mask that I made with padding. And also this is the mask that I am using for blending. And you can see that it is bigger. It's a bigger mask than the original. And this is the result. And if I copy that in Photoshop or compare it here, you can see it's a little bigger. And the amount of this growing of this mask is coming from the total value of the blurriness and other effect that I applied during the processing. So finally, I know that, for example, I have changed the image up to this area, and only I have to mix the image with original input only with this area. So doing this calculation is very, very important and critical for making the result. Before going out from the 06 step, excuse me, I have to tell you that again, I am trying to calculate the blur radius. Okay, because also I applied some blurriness and grow effect on this mask, and still I need to keep and update the blur radius. So this is the reason that I am doing that. After from this step, I am switching the checkpoint because I want to add some detailing. I prefer to use SD 1.5. It's working very, very better and faster. And also you can see that I am using the Hyper SD with 8 step, and it's enough for me. Again, by using the context, I was able to change my checkpoint. I sent the text information to clip text encoder. And here you can see that I have updated the context and I sent it to detailer. So here in detailer, I am using two important nodes. The first nodes are doing the segmentation, and the second node is processing the segmentation. Okay, let me show you. All right, here you can see that I am sending the mask to the segment, and it can create a segment for me, but it's a big segment. After that, there is another node, and all these nodes are coming from Impact Bank that can divide and break the big segment into a smaller segment. Finally, I can use another segment to insert control net. And after that, here I have the node that can process based on segment information. And this is the output. Now, if I select the output, right click and select and Q selected, then you can see the processing, and it will pick the segments one by one, do the processing and refining. I have set the denoise amount to 0.22. So it will only help me to match the color inside the previous painted area by surrounded area, and it's very useful. And also it can add some details. You can see it here. So after processing, for example, these 16 segment, it can combine them automatically with our original image. So actually this node working like a magic. And now if you take a look, you can see that we have more details inside the previous inpainted area. And if you compare these two images, after that you can understand. Okay, so now it is more compatible with the image, and also it has some better details. Also, sometimes maybe you can try to use the HyperSD with 12 step and it can work fine. Okay, now I want to provide more example about detailer in depth. This is another workflow. It's very simple workflow that I prepared for you. And for example, here I can select the image, open in mask editor, and select some area. Okay, one area here and one big area from here to here. Okay, now if I select the segment preview, and also please pay attention to the notes that how they are connected. For to check the segment preview, you need to send the original image and also the segment that is coming out from mask to segment. And if you click on Q selected, then you can see it is generating two segments for you. Okay, this is one segment and this is the second segment. So at first it is trying to make segment from your mask area. If you click on combine and press the Q, it will combine both two masks together. Okay, but at this moment I don't need the combination, and I like to have the mask as separate segment. If you increase the crop factor, you can add some more space around the masked area, and sometimes it is useful. But now let me keep it as 1. The next node, make tile segment, can let me convert it. Okay. Okay, the next node can check the dimension based on pixel, and after that it will divide the big segments into smaller segments. So now you have 11 different segments. Okay, because the original image, let me open the image. The dimension of the original image was 3000 in 3000 pixel, and it's trying to make the segments up to, for example, 768, or for example, sometimes you can increase the segment size. Okay, bbox bounding box size, and after doing the Q, you can get some less segments. Okay, also here you have some values. If you are using 2 segments, you can add the crop factor in the second node. For example, also here you can see that I can add crop factor. And also here I have another option for defining the overlap that segments should have to with together. Okay, for example, you can see here I have this segment up to this part. Okay, and it has a little distance with the shoulder, and here I have the same segment. Okay, and you can see that it's trying to make some overlap for these segments, and if you decrease the overlap amount, after that only it's trying to divide them based on the dimension. Okay, so sometimes overlap, if I increase the overlap, maybe I will get more segments. Let me show you. Yes. Okay, so it's trying to make more overlap between segments, and you should play with them. And also here there is another option with the name of filter segmentation, and it will grow the mask. Okay, it will grow the mask, and let me show you. I have set it to 255, and here you can see that the masket, the previous masket area is very bigger. And for example, here, if you check the original mask was up to here, but you can see that it grows the mask. So also you can grow the mask with this area, and I did that also in my workflow, and I control the segment dilation with this node, with this external node. And also again, I sent the parameter, the output of this node, for calculating the final size of the blurriness, or final size of the mask size. And also inside the detailer debug, you have some options. Okay, for example, here you can see that I made some change, and I decreased the image size to make it easier for test. And here I have 4 segments, and this is my prompt. Okay, colored tattoo on the body. And after processing, you can see that I have these tattoos on the market area. Again, let me do the processing, and you can see at first it's trying to analyze the first segment, then it's going to the next segment. And now please pay attention, I have the previous segment here, so it can work with the information that was processed previously. Now let me change the masket area. Okay. And let me select some bigger part, also including the jewelry. Save to node and queue the prompt. So it was one segment, and after that it's divided into 4 different segments. Oops, and maybe it's better to add some filtering. Node NSFW for avoiding making something bad. Okay, now it's better, and you can see that it's trying to find the tattoo and the combination, and this is the final result. And now I was working with denoise number 1, and also I was using the control net, so it can help me to keep the structure that is under the image. And if I ignore the control net, okay, and start the processing, after that maybe the image that is going to be generated here is completely different. Okay, and actually it's very better to use this technique with control net and also lower denoising amount. All right, now let's go to the 08 part. And here I'm trying to offset the image and also design some mask for removing the remaining seams. If you check the image after offsetting, you can see that still we have two little seams that are coming from original image, and it's something normal because we was processed this part and we have one edge from here and one edge from here. So I have to find a solution. So to find them, it was very better for me to use again offset image, but this time with 25% value. So it offset the image to the right with 25% and also to the bottom with 25%. So it helped me to see these seams. Okay, and let me show here. You can see that. And after finding the seams, I should find a solution to design some mask. At first, let me start with this node. Right click and fix it and make a preview. So this node is coming from ComfyUI Studio and it can create a circle for you, or it can create any kind of outer shape. But for example, you should define some value. For example, for the offset, I press 0. So it's coming into the center of the image. And again, 0, it will go a little up. So with offset X and Y, you can control the position of the circle. Okay, so after that, you have another parameter with the name of zoom, and it will define the size of the circle. And when the zoom is 1, the circle will cover the image. And for example, if you have a long image, it will fit into the shortest length of your image. Okay. And these are the rules that you should know. So this is the rules that this node is working. So by having the blue radius and also the padding information, okay, I had information from blue radius and vertical padding and horizontal padding. Exactly these informations that you can see here, and I have add a rewrote node with name. So after that, I sent them to the node. But how? Let me show you. Let me open them. Okay, this is an expression that I have for calculating the zoom value. Okay, and exactly this is the equation that can do that for me. And I am doing that by having the blue radius, vertical padding, and also the minimum length of the image. For example, here you can see that the value that is coming out from the original image is 4000 in 3000. But the value that I am getting from the minimum maximum now is 3000, because now it is sending the minimum value. If I click, I can get the maximum value, but I need the minimum value at this moment. So after finding the value for the zoom by these nodes, okay, After that, I found a value for X offset and Y offset. And for finding the X offset and Y offset, I was used this node because I used 25% for offsetting the image, but this value is in percent. And again, by getting the width and height of the image, I convert the percentage value to the pixel value with the expression. And after, oops, I shouldn't do middle click. And after that, I find the width and height for the image that should be created, and they are coming exactly from the original image. So I create a circle, and after that, it was in this position. Let me show you. Preview. Okay, this is the preview, and actually it's not in the right position. And by using another node that is coming from VAST Node Suite, I flip the image vertically, and now it's in the correct position. Also, I did same. This was for vertical. So I did same also for horizontal. And exactly the equation is same. One more time, please let me show you what is B, what is C, and what is A. B is below radius, C is vertical padding or horizontal padding, and A is the minimum length of the image. So by this equation, you can calculate the zoom. And also I explained about X offset, Y offset, width and height. Finally, after creating these two images, I am using again a blend node in a screen mode. It's very important to set that on a screen because we want to blend the brightness. And after blending these two images, I can get one image. And after that, I sent this image to the mask. And actually, I converted the image to mask. So from this step, I have this mask and also the image that is offsetted. And for example, we can see the seams. And in the 09 step, I am using again a detailer. And by getting the mask and sending to the mask to segment from impact pack, you can see that I can see the seams and also the mask. I made these circles by combining these nodes, and they are exactly on the correct position. And finally, I sent them into the detailer. Okay, and in the detailer, let me show you how they are working. Okay, you can see it's trying to denoise the area with the seam and also this area. So it will only process these two small area one by one, and after that we can get the result. And finally, we shouldn't see any seams here. Now if there is any seams, you can try different seed number and also different denoising value. Again, press the Q. Okay, still if you have that, you can increase the denoising and again do the processing. So finally, by increasing the denoising amount, you can remove that, and now it is much more better. Okay. Okay, now I'm sure that there is not any seams here. Most of the time it can work with the value about 0.5 or 0.4, but if you had any problem, you can change the value. And finally, you should install the empty bin nodes extension. This is the empty bin node extension that you should install. And after that, you can get these nodes for extracting the normal bump, curvature, and also height. And it's very important to remember, at first you should generate the normal bump. After generating normal bump, you can send the normal bump to another node, and you should set that to normal to curvature. And after that, also you can have another node. Okay, let me show you. Both of them are connected to normal. Actually, I think it's a great exercise for understanding different parameters and connection in ComfyUI. And I hope that you enjoyed this video. Hope to see you soon.